There comes a night when the masks fall away, the polished smile, the practiced words, the roles we've learned to play. Carl Jung spoke of this quiet death, the moment the false self so carefully built crumbles like old paper in the wind. Tonight we stand in that hush, no judgment, no hurry, only the breath of something deeper, waiting to be born. Because what rises from the ashes is not a performance, but a presence, something real, something unafraid. Let's sit with that first breath together. In the tranquil quiet of your mind, imagine this journey, a gentle exploration of the mysterious planes of the psyche, where shadows play and whispers of forgotten truths echo in the dusk. Picture a newborn soul arriving untainted into this world, pure in its desire to connect, untouched by the complexities of the masks it will soon acquire. Layers gathered like veils during its early dance with life. These masks of survival are intricately woven from the tender threads of the childhood, shaped by the often unseen hands of conditional love and early wounds. These beginnings are where the false self first stirs, not birthed of its own volition, but constructed to negotiate the difficult terrains of acceptance. As a child wanders through the landscape of growing up, external expectations mould the internal world, softly urging the heart to camouflage itself in ways deemed fit for love. Thus, beneath these layers, the true essence slumbers, shielded from the prick of rejection and the bite of judgment. Yet whispering within is the question: what toll is paid for such protection? What pieces of the soul become obscured by the long embrace of these facades? Observe the necessity behind this adaptation, crafted within early years where survival depends on the acceptance granted by caregivers. Children, with their wondrous ability to perceive with pure eyes, learn to internalize the unspoken rules necessary for their nourishment. Here is where the false self begins to glimmer, curated not out of deceit but necessity, embracing acts of compliance and rehearsed expressions, all in pursuit of denying the ache of neglect. The psyche, rich in its complexity, forms patterns of self-preservation that etch themselves into the consciousness. These patterns, which grow roots and mature, conceal the true self, leading to moments when life beckons us towards a revealing. That is, the sepulchre of authenticity. No longer is this journey one of hide and seek within the shadows. It is a gentle unveiling, an untangling of the knots that tether the spirit back into forms of conditioned existence. Consider the influence of conditional love, a force often subtle, shaping the undercurrents of our formative experiences. This love, with its invisible contingencies, turns affection into something transactional, prompting the soul to twist and turn itself into acceptable shapes. Fear emerges then, fear of being deemed insufficient, unworthy of love. The masks constructed in childhood's school of survival promise inclusion at the expense of authenticity, laying groundwork for internal conflicts observed in the heart's quest for wholeness. The creation of one's false self is a craft honed over time, with tools like repression and projection. These delicate mechanisms of the mind serve to maintain the imagined balance between what is inside and what is witnessed outside. Repression delicately nudges away parts of the identity seen as undesirable, while projection assigns these banished shards onto others, painting them onto the wider tapestry of existence. Both reinforce the elaborate puzzle of a false self, brightly coloured yet lacking the soulful depth of authenticity. Over time, the prolific wearing of these masks can blur the faint line between pretense and the genuine self, weaving a tapestry of inner discord that quietly festers. This exists as the core struggle of the false self, a yearning for authentic union against the alluring yet confining comfort they were once born to seek. It is an estrangement from oneself, a state where joy and genuine connection seem to dance just out of reach. Thus, the price paid is subtle yet profound, a gradual relinquishing of authenticity, which then calls for a profound psychological release. Herein lays an intersection of vulnerability and identity, a critical juncture where, facing the rawness within, one may glimpse the tethered elements of an identity not fully formed. These moments of vulnerability provide glimpses into the heart's reflection, prompting revelations of a self eager to emerge once the defences dissolve. Courage is a requisite companion through this void, demanding faith in the passage through walls built for protection. The course to authenticity is bathed in understanding, an eternal path that does not reach a definitive end, but rather hums gently through life, as an ongoing symphony of self-inquiry. By turning toward self-compassion, we learn to cradle imperfections gently, granting space for healing to unfurl its wings. This unravels the purse of stories spun by society and others' expectations, allowing new narratives to blossom, ones abundant with authenticity and true self-loyalty. Answering the call of authenticity, whispers of courage, a sacred act in moments both insignificant and paramount, against screams of conformity's charm. Each stance of genuine courage acts as a guiding star along the road to self-reclamation, ushering towards the dissolution of the self-imposed fortresses of identity. As this chapter draws to a close, the false self becomes less a critique and more a remnant of survival, an old ally now transformed into a verse of life's enduring melody. In accepting the shadowed parts, we cradle an understanding that is both tender and poised for an enlightening rebirth. The unmasking relinquishes not its legacy, but enriches the path of self-redemption and authenticity, harmonizing beneath authenticity's pure glow. In the enduring quest to uncover who we are beneath the veils, we find ourselves continuously becoming seekers merged with the found. In the gentle dawn of life, where innocence dances freely, the child begins their journey with an exquisite wholeness, a delightful blend of feelings, imagination, and desires. Yet as they wade into the tides of the world, they come face to face with the firm rules of acceptance, and the tender fabric of this authenticity begins to meet resistance. Socialization demands the child to navigate through an intricate dance of fitting in, often at the expense of their raw, authentic self. Here in these tender exchanges, the seeds of fragmentation begin to take root, a shy whisper that urges the true self into hiding, allowing a pleasing false self to take flight. This delicate fracture isn't a rebellion, nor is it an act of disobedience. It is a soft survival, a whispering shield against the sting of rejection. A child's fledgling mind, quick and perceptive, learns to shape a mask, a carefully crafted facade that fits comfortably with the outside world. All the while its authentic voice begins to fade into a shadow. Over time, these masks multiply, weaving a complex web of personas, each twinkling mask worn for different gazes. Though this intricate dance ensures short-lived survival, it lays the foundation for a lifetime of inner conflict between the self that yearns to be real and the one that strives to belong. Repression swathes its invisible cloak, gently guiding unacceptable emotions and desires into the shadowy caverns of the unconscious. For the child wrapped in the balm of protection that their false self provides, repression hides the painful echoes of unaccepted truths. Deep within, these buried feelings wait with patient persistence, shifting in their unseen realm, awaiting the light of recognition. Though invisible, these repressed shadows cast long unseen ripples over thoughts, emotions and reactions, leaving traces of anxieties and mysteries in their wake. As the facade solidifies with resilience, a curious behaviour unfurls. People-pleasing, a quiet plea for acceptance, becomes a sacred ritual. Seeking approval, the child surrenders fragments of their authenticity, hoping to bask in the warmth of acceptance. Yet in this dance of desire, the true self slowly fades, replaced by a diligent performance aimed to please. This pursuit, however, extracts the heavy toll of self-abandonment. Needs and dreams are shadows, undisclosed and sacrificed at the altar of external validation, leading to emptiness quietly nestled within their heart. Caught in duality, the individual now stands on a tightrope between yearning for recognition and maintaining concealment. The shadow within cries for expression, while the mask muffles its cries, feeding an inner turmoil and edging them toward those places where the camouflage feels needed and justified. Such existence tends to be tense, and the energy required to sustain it drains heart and hiraeth, leaving exhaustion in its wake. This mask, though its protection is familiar, imprisons as it prevents authentic connection and experience, casting a shadow over intimacy. Within relationships, this duality echoes a profound sense of disconnection. The false self dances in interactions, leaving authentic presence obscured, relationships tinged with the scent of calculation, rather than genuine openness. However, the mask inevitably cracks under the weight of closeness, as intimacy threatens exposure. The individual remains wrapped in self-woven illusions, fearing rejection, yet craving true acceptance. The facade invites alliances with compatible deceptions, trapping them in a cyclic echo chamber until fatigue beckons the brave act of vulnerably embracing their real nature. Despite external successes, the soul quietly aches, burdened by the costs of self-denial. Chronic discontent casts a shadow, even over achievements, whispering dissatisfaction amidst applause. The invisible divides sow seeds of stress and anxiety, manifesting firmly but silently, until a critical juncture calls them to the realms of introspection. Here lies the challenge and the reward, an invitation to dismantle defences and open the heart to vulnerability, welcoming the hidden fragments back into the latticework of the whole self. This silent suffering, then, becomes a familiar companion. Conversations with self are paused, the external dance perfectly mimicking ease. While inside, the silence grows louder. It becomes a constant echo, this loneliness of the soul, revealing the absence not of others, but of self. Yet there is hope in this isolating discomfort. A call, a chance for healing to awaken as introspection uncovers the profound longing for freedom from untruth. Signs emerge like gentle thunder in the soul's storm. A fractured identity whispers its tale. Erratic emotions and wavering decisions betray the internal dissonance, revealing the exhaustion born from constant pleasing and self-adjustment. Dissatisfaction cloaks achievements, while avoidance of closeness illuminates disconnection. Yet these signs, though echoes of discontent, signal the journey towards authenticity, a gentle nudge toward meeting the buried self with open arms. Yet beneath the swirling mists of this duality lies a road to integration, a sacred weaving of once split threads. To step onto this path is to honour the wounds, the defences, not with judgment but compassion. In this embrace of self-awareness, vulnerability blooms, guiding the way toward a reunion of light and shadow. Through tender whisperings of introspection, the authentic self, previously muted, finds voice, leading to a life aligned with its true nature. So, like ancient whispers through living woods, the cracks in the mask sing a song of authenticity's dawn. This awakening nudges the soul toward a life where masks gently dissolve into shadows and the heart blooms unguarded. It is a journey, not an end point, a dance of becoming that honours each facet of self in its most radiant form. The way forward is gently lit by authenticity, unveiling the profound joy of rediscovered self-worth and the artful unfolding of life's true journey. In the tender dawn of our existence, a delicate fortress emerges, meticulously constructed to shield our true selves from the harshness of rejection and the cold sting of shame. This edifice, made of whispered untruths and carefully woven fibs, becomes an involuntary castle where the young soul seeks refuge. In the hushed process of growing up, each instance where an open heart meets the world's brusque dismissals, another brick is placed in the fortress, a reflex of self-preservation. What starts as protection becomes a performance repeated so often that it lulls us into an illusion that safety and identity can be found amidst these shadows. Yet like ivy creeping up ancient stone, this fortress betrays its master. The lie promises sanctuary, but drains our zest for life, gradually concealing the soul's vivid desires. Within its confines, realness becomes a distant echo, a dream deferred. The essence of who we are lies dormantly in the dim-lit chambers of this self-imposed prison, yearning for release. As we retreat from the vibrance of authenticity, vitality ebbs away, trapped beneath the surface of our crafted exterior. To those who wander life's maze in search of acceptance, this fortress holds a seductive allure. Acceptance appears as a shining elixir, drawing us into hurried conformity. Humans circle its flame, painting themselves in hues not their own, all to fit moulds that promise love and belonging. Yet under this mask, a void of inauthenticity breeds, a quiet murmuration of self-betrayal spoken through silent tears. True acceptance, too often misunderstood, is not merely the applause of others. It is the harmonious dance with our bare, untouched essence, a celebration of every unpolished facet. As years drift by like gentle waves, the weight of sustaining the lie grows heavier, a chain that binds us to a cycle of deceit. This burden becomes a shackle worn invisibly, yet felt deeply in every breath, sapping the energy meant for true emotional richness. Like a juggler locked in perpetual motion, our minds toil under the strain of maintaining a fiction, leaving little room for the presence of joy. The distance between the masks we wear and our true selves widens, unsettling our inner peace and weaving dissonance into our core. This masquerade suffocates joy, stifling the spontaneity and genuine connections that are the lifeblood of happiness. The fortress dims the vibrant colours of life, replacing them with muted shadows of predictability. But deep within, the true self waits, a quiet flicker yearning to blaze anew. To heal, we must surrender the scaffolding of pretension, revealing the untouched terrain where genuine joy thrives, where creative passion mingles with the acceptance of existing raw, unguarded under the vast sky of truth. Behind the brave facades we present lies an emptiness, an uncharted expanse beckoning introspection. This void, initially unsettling, is a whispered summoning to confront our disconnect from truth, an ancient call to return to authenticity. When acknowledged, this emptiness becomes the beginning of transformation, urging us to sit with discomfort and delve into ourselves. In this silent exploration lies the potential for profound metamorphosis, a reawakening that breathes life into the petrified soul, expanding to make room for that which is real and meaningful. The false self's promise of protection hinges on the belief that vulnerability is dangerous and safety resides in a rigid, unfeeling guise. Through a narrow lens, we perceive vulnerability as a perilous abyss, yet overlook its boundless transformative power. True resilience gleams not from armoured detachment, but from the courage to embody vulnerability without fear. By daring to shed our defences, authenticity blooms, revealing a resilience deeply rooted in the soil of truth. Thus emerges a liberation, transcending mere dismantling of defences, a profound freedom beckoning us to embrace life's authentic flow. To step beyond the confines of lies is to witness the merging of dualities within us, the real and the unreal, into a harmonised existence. Peeling away layers of deceit reveals the serene landscape where soul and persona aren't opposing currents, but a unified stream flowing towards a horizon of serene clarity. In this liberation, peace emerges like a morning mist over still waters, unfettered by the narratives once woven by external expectations. The internal world is resculpted into a sanctuary, receptive to the melody of truth, offering emotional lucidity, spiritual balance, and connections forged in the rich soil of authenticity. Each step forward is a reverent journey into the depths of self-discovery, a humble voyage towards living openly and fully, in harmony with the sacred symphony of one's truest being. In the hushed shadows of self-discovery, our fortress of invincibility begins its slow unravelling. The false self, once our stalwart protector, spins tales of strength and resilience, an armour forged not of steel, but of fragile disguises. This construct, a deceptive guardian against vulnerability, wears thin against the persistent passage of time and experience. Yet, it is life's unforeseen moments, a whisper of betrayal, the sweep of loss, or the quiet despair of dissatisfaction, that create the first subtle cracks in this facade, transforming perceived catastrophes into gentle invitations toward truth. As these cracks emerge, we stand at the brink of revelation, facing the paradox of genuine resilience. It is not found in the avoidance of pain, but in the courage to confront our rawest vulnerabilities. This tender unveiling permits introspection, guiding a slow pilgrimage within. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become gateways to deeper understanding, ushering in the dismantling of protective veneers in favour of authentic existence. Here, the pursuit of perfection gracefully cedes to the exploration of our imperfect selves, an unfolding journey towards a life lived without pretense or hidden shadows. Betrayal, with its piercing clarity, punctures the superficial serenity maintained by our false fronts. A breach of trust, whether from others or birthed within one's own heart, holds transformative power. This dissonance forces a re-examination of self-imposed narratives, revealing the gossamer-thin divide between who we claim to be and who we truly are. Amid the pain of shattered illusions, a crucible emerges, a space where ego's defences crumble, allowing the genuine self to rise and begin anew. Loss weaves its way through our stories, a profound clarion call that demands the relinquishment of safety nets we once clung to. Whether the parting of beloveds or dreams slowly fading into twilight, loss carves hollow spaces that echo with unwritten potential. These voids become fertile fields upon which the seeds of resilience and renewed identity take root. Beneath the initial sorrow and longing lies an awakening, urging us to discover a self both rooted and expansive beyond the veils of superficial attachments. Illness arrives as an uninvited guest, its presence stark and undeniable. It strips bare the illusion of eternal control, prompting a journey inward amidst the fragile interplay of body, mind, and soul. In this confrontation, priorities realign, paving pathways toward understanding life's intrinsic worth. As the body fights for equilibrium, so does the spirit, untangling mismatched threads from the fabric of everyday living. This sombre dance with vulnerability fosters resilience, allowing us to emerge whole, views of self and existence redefined. In quiet moments of deep dissatisfaction, whispers of discontent grow louder, insisting on being heard. The journey thus far, however gilded with achievements, may not fulfill the soul's deepest yearnings. It is here that the disassembled fragments of our armour reveal their truth. The persistent unease signals that life as we know it falters under the weight of authenticity's call, leading us to an introspective journey, untangling the heart's most intimate desires from the tangled narratives of adopted roles. Amidst despair's shadow, the false self falters. Yet despair, though formidable, unveils hidden landscapes in the solitude of its starkness, mirroring life's incongruences back at us. Profound self-discovery lies in this darkness. Whispered truths rise from the depths, inviting a willing heart to embrace them. Here in the abyss, humility blooms, acknowledging shared imperfections. It softens egotistic defences, allowing deeper connections with both self and the broader human fabric. As the dust of disillusionment settles, authenticity begins to take form. Emerging from the rubble, we piece together truths from our inner chaos, reconstructing lives now aligned with our core essence. Authenticity, seamless yet dynamic, invites deeper familiarity with our true aspirations and boundless potential. It is a sacred pilgrimage, marked not by the adherence to prescriptive ideals, but a trust in the genuine self, forged in the crucible of past felonies and newfound freedoms. In holding dialogues within, an intricate weaving of our inner light and shadows ensues. This dialogue unifies disparate parts, crafting a cohesive narrative from fragments. Mastering this art of introspective communication offers calming clarity, each whisper from within, fostering resilience and sowing seeds of purpose. It is through such harmonious integration that the layers of ego fall away, revealing the enduring truth and resilience at the heart's core. We walk now on the edge of wholeness, where authenticity finds its place in the mundanity and wonder of daily life. This path, a gentle tapestry of compassion and understanding, embraces dualities within us and the world, encouraging a never-ending quest for growth and transformation. Herein lies the recognition of perfection's elusiveness. Beauty emerges in accepting imperfections. As we navigate this passage, our connections deepen, broadened by the understanding gleaned through our own sacred pilgrimage toward a life embroidered with authenticity and unyielding strength. As the veils of the false self begin to slip away, the soul stands on the precipice of a profound unveiling. This phase reveals deep-rooted insecurities once cocooned within layers of carefully curated facades. The impulse to retreat into the shelter of the known is potent, a tender echo of past defences, seeking refuge from the storm of raw honesty. In a world that prizes polished exteriors and seamless masks of perfection, confronting the turbulent sea of self-doubt can feel daunting. Yet beneath this facade of stability, the foundation is often woven with years of unexamined self-criticism, whispering the need for a re-evaluation of personal worth. To strip away these protective layers is not merely to expose imperfections, but to illuminate forgotten strengths. Sensitivity blooms, intuition deepens, and creativity stretches its wings, all rising anew through the soil of fear and hesitation. Here lies the paradox. The very exposure we dread can be the liberating force we seek. Teetering on the edge of vulnerability, one is presented with a choice: to embrace genuine self-discovery or retreat again into the shadows of constructed identity. For those who choose to lean into the discomfort, rawness becomes the cradle of true power, and embracing this chaos becomes the first step toward recognizing the hidden strengths that lie beneath. The journey through this emotional landscape is fraught with a formidable companion: shame. An insidious undercurrent, it shapes notions of worth and guides actions with an iron hand. Embedded deep within the psyche, shame harmonizes with societal dictates and personal scars, urging retreat as authenticity threatens to shine through. This confrontation with shame can stir a storm of emotions, from defensive anger to profound sadness, but holds transformative power within its tempest. Bringing shame into the light allows it to be dissected and understood, offering a path toward freeing oneself from its grip. Rooted often in childhood experiences and societal expectations, understanding shame is the first step in its transformation from a crippling overseer into a wise teacher. As one learns to separate the self from externally imposed judgments, a resilient understanding of self-concept begins to take shape. Vulnerability, once misconstrued as weakness, reveals itself as the cornerstone of courage. As layers of false self peel away, tender facets of personality emerge, exposed and unguarded. To embrace vulnerability is to open oneself to the risks of rejection and misunderstanding. Yet within this openness lies the potential for profound connection and growth. By allowing vulnerabilities to surface, an invitation is extended for empathy and understanding, forging bonds rooted in the soil of truth and respect. In this arena, vulnerability becomes a testament to courage, igniting creativity and innovation by urging the soul beyond the comfort zones of old. As the false self unravels, anxiety often threads itself into the narrative, a constant companion. An alert system, it signals the mind that it has veered into uncharted waters. The stakes are high, an invitation to leave behind familiar confines for the vast expanse of an unguarded life. This anxious energy manifests in both mind and body, obscuring clarity with relentless doubt. Yet, when viewed as an ally rather than an adversary, anxiety can provide guidance along this inner journey. Engaging with it through inquiry, seeking its messages, can transform it from hindrance to guide. Mindfulness and breath become allies, stilling the storm, while reflective practices illuminate triggers and encourage a path toward peace. In the wake of dismantling the false self, emotional chaos reigns. The structure once holding beliefs and behaviours begins to shift, creating upheaval across the emotional landscape. Yet, This turmoil signals not regression, but progress. Embracing this storm means accepting that healing is a non-linear process. Storytelling becomes a beacon, whether through written word or quiet reflection, offering examination and recontextualization of these rising emotions. Sitting with discomfort without haste invites a deeper connection with the self, building resilience and fostering a compassionate embrace of the human experience. Amidst this turmoil, the voice of the inner critic grows louder, a fierce guardian shaped by past criticism and self-imposed standards. Yet, rather than an enemy, this voice is a call for understanding. By reframing the dialogue, the critic becomes not an opposition, but a guide to be understood. Mindfulness transforms its language, aligning it with compassion and growth, allowing imperfections to become stepping stones of authenticity. In shedding the false self, the potential for authentic relationships unfolds. With courage, individuals connect from an open-hearted place, weaving bonds founded on true understanding and respect. Communication transcends the superficial, building connections where one is seen for who they are. Authenticity invites others to do the same, nurturing environments of mutual support and growth. As the false self fades, a new self-perception takes shape, shattering past constructs built on societal approval and belief. This transformation is liberating, inviting individuals to pen their own stories, moving from conformity to authenticity. In honouring past adaptations as survival mechanisms, a union of inner values and external expressions emerge, creating a resilient, adaptive identity that promises enduring fulfillment and self-acceptance. Thus, the inner journey unfolds toward empowerment, carrying the individual forward with grace and dignity. Within the quiet depths of our consciousness, where shadows linger, lies the essence of the unacknowledged self. These shadows are parts of us, angels and demons alike, whispering from the forgotten corners of our psyche. Carl Jung taught that these neglected fragments, the shadow, are not foes but forgotten comrades awaiting acknowledgement. They linger softly behind the masks we have been conditioned to wear, where societal expectations have taught us to bury them. Anger, desire, grief, and longing are but contours of this hidden landscape, and within each emotion rests the untapped potential of our true being. As we awaken from the trance of the false self, a facade crafted by wounds and conditional love, the shadow begins to emerge, hesitantly at first, like a guest long shunned from the hearth. Here lies the unfamiliar, yet intimately bound. Our anger volatile in the eyes of the false self, serving not as an outburst but as a guidepost, illuminating where we feel wronged or diminished. It holds the drumbeat of our deepest values, a rhythm demanding the return to authenticity and strength in expressing boundaries with a newfound assertiveness. Desire too dances in this shadowed realm, often misconstrued as mere appetite or whim. Beneath layers of shame and societal disdain lies the core of our creative soul, yearning for expression. It is a call to rekindle forgotten dreams, to peel away the capes of external conditioning, and let the raw pulse of desire guide us toward truth. In unshackling these passions, we find the wellspring of vitality, creativity, infusing our existence with purpose. The very fuel driving acts imbued with authenticity rather than hollow aspirations shaped by collective norms. Grief is perhaps the quietest shadow, hushed by the bustle of modern life where mourning has no refuge. When this sorrow is embraced, we traverse not as victims, but as pilgrims of healing, finding within it a landscape of remembrance and release. Through shadow, grief becomes our sacred partner in transformation, allowing the experience of loss to birth strength and understanding. Longing twines itself with grief, an echo of dreams unfulfilled, yearning tenderly for a life yet fully expressed. It sings softly of our deepest needs, guiding us towards what truly matters. In liberating longing from shadow, we step into an existential inquiry, excavating meaning and purpose beyond the narrow confines of the mundane. We walk the path of fulfillment, bold and true, a reflection gazing inward as outward. Fear prowls within the shadow, an adversary turned ally. It roots itself in foreboding stories woven by the false self, narratives of caution, urging us back into the familiar but sterile embrace of comfort. The crumbling of these illusions calls forth courage, turning fear from a chains-binding shame to the crucible of resilience, catalysing growth and clarity. As we alchemize these shadows, we pause to behold the darker recesses of our being. Envy, greed, and resentment linger here, not as malignant forces, but as lost languages begging for translation into light. It is with patience and compassion that we meet these inner truths, releasing the shadow's grip on our actions by accepting them without judgment. In integrating this darkness, shame dissolves, making space for a broader understanding. Our journey now brings us to the fertile soil of inner conflict, where opposing forces once waged war. Shadow work nurtures these into reconciliation, no longer an arena of conflict, but a harmonious blend of self-understanding and acceptance. Embracing paradox unveils a richer, more complete inner life, aligning us closer to our true selves. Into this delicate intertwining of shadow and light, we discover the art of emotional alchemy, where emotions serve as teachers rather than tyrants. By harnessing rather than suppressing these currents, we shape reactivity into deliberation, breathing wisdom into every breath. Patience and deliberate engagement transform these emotions from raw elements into gold threads that weave the fabric of our humanity together. In this dance, we encounter creativity as an undying flame, flickering within the shadow's embrace. No longer constrained by external judgment, this inner fire sparks innovation and self-realization, a testament to the power held captive until freed from the shadow's grasp. It enriches us, offering a path of originality and liberation that simply awaits our invitation. Cradling this newfound wholeness, we return to the heart of self-compassion. Here, we stitch together the tapestry of our existence with threads of acceptance and forgiveness, discarding the severe criticism of the false self for a nurturing grace. Each shadow embraced hums a melody ingrained with empathy, sewing together separated strands of our psyche into a coherent narrative that acknowledges the depth of our humanity. Thus we find ourselves home, whole once more, embracing the symphony of integration, acknowledging that our imperfections cast the most vivid colours upon our canvas. Our journey is not towards perfection, but towards acceptance. The shadows, now friends, dance with the light in a celebration of authenticity. Herein lies our liberation, the resplendent truth uniting dark and light, complete and vibrant, transcending the illusions of the false self to a state of profound equilibrium and grace. In the stillness of self-discovery, a whisper anticipates the inevitable collapse of a facade carefully woven by time and fear. This is not an unravelling orchestrated by hands, but a natural dissolution spurred by a silent clash between the self we construct and the truths that linger in our shadows. The demise of this false self is like shedding old skin under tender moonlight. It signals the end of narratives soaked in pretense, ushering us into a void that feels both alien and intimate. Here, rebirth stirs beneath the surface, yet the first embrace must be with surrender, a gentle release of that which binds us to illusions. Surrender is an intimate confrontation with vulnerability, akin to standing unguarded under the vast sky. Society teaches us to disguise pain with bravado, but in this quiet collapse, the dismantling is less a failure and more a sacred shedding. It is a call to embrace discomfort, to navigate through layers of psyche once hidden and now yearning for discovery. As silence wraps itself around us, a dance begins, a dance with vulnerability, where echoes of innocence and tender truths resonate. In this raw exposure, we discover the heartbeat of our original, unarmoured self. Control seduces us with its grand illusion, a siren promising safety amid life's unpredictable tides. The persona, carefully etched into our being, begs belief that we can script outcomes, steer perceptions. Yet, surrender invites us to swim in the grace of letting go, to step lightly upon the tightrope of life without seeking the false comfort of control. Surrender is an art that defies every fibre trained for certainty, teaching us that true freedom breathes only in the dance of life's unyielding flow. Release reveals a deeper wisdom, where trust in the unknown fosters a harmony, richer than any pretense of stability. As the false persona crumbles, fear and anxiety rush forth, unbidden guests shattering silence. Their presence fills the void, not merely as threats, but as mournful guides, lamenting lost roles, resisting the mystery that beckons. Courage finds a place within the tremors of fear, for it speaks not of hiding but of listening to anxiety's refrain, unravelling its tightly spun threads to find wisdom within its shadows. This tender confrontation unearths questions compelling and profound. What truths does fear wish to unfold? Which aspects of the self cry out through anxiety's veil? Within the crucible of vulnerability lies liberation, a sanctuary wherein strength reinvents itself as gentleness. Society often equates strength with invulnerability, yet true liberation blooms when masks dissolve, unveiling the tender core. In vulnerability, authentic connections root deeply into the soul's soil, creating spaces for creativity and love to thrive amid life's unpredictable rhythm. It is here we find the grace to embrace our wholeness, not as perfection but as a tapestry woven with threads of shadow and light. Grief shadows this journey, the emotion that honours what must be let go for the true self to breathe. It acknowledges the loss of roles and expectations built on shaky ground. Yet grief holds the power to alchemize sorrow into wisdom, transforming the soil of loss into the fertile ground of understanding. Acceptance gently cradles this transformation, not as resignation but as an embrace of reality's raw edges. Through acceptance, a dialogue emerges between pain and purpose, each moment a stepping stone toward realizing the authenticity waiting to arise. Attachments to past identities weave a web around the false self, tethering us to fears of inadequacy, lovelessness and incompleteness. As surrender unfolds, the past releases its hold through critical introspection, a sifting through connections that once bolstered illusions. This process demands clarity, an eye sharpened by truth to distinguish the authentic from the obsolete. Silence becomes an ally, a wellspring nourishing the flame of rebirth. It provides a refuge where the self can softly recalibrate, free from the clamour of external expectations. Within this solitude, the soul listens intently to its own whispers, laying bare intentions steeped in inner wisdom rather than ego's agenda. Here a recalibration occurs, aligning the self to a rhythm authentic and true. Yet surrender demands courage, the willingness to navigate unmapped terrain, to face the unknown with a heart steady in its beat. It is an invitation to trust the journey that has no promises, to weave life anew upon the canvas of uncertainty. Let go, not to the abyss, but to the fertile unknown, waiting to carve paths of vibrant possibilities through the layers of self. In surrender's wake, the self rebirths through authenticity. It means living not by rote or expectation, but in accordance with the soul's deepest desires. Engaging with life through vibrant, honest encounters, we become participants rather than mere spectators. This legacy of wholeness, born of surrender, is not bound by perfection, but flourishes in the freedom of an integrated existence. Each moment a testament to the dance between light and shadow within the expansive tapestry of life. In the stillness that follows the dismantling of the false self, a profound quiet hangs in the air, a silence as deep as an ancient forest, ripe with the potential of emerging truths. This is not simply the absence of noise, it is a fertile ground where authenticity begins to unfurl its delicate petals. Consider a land, once battered by relentless storms, now finding its gentle rhythm, free from the chaos imposed by masks and pretense. Here, amidst the silence, lies the opportunity for clarity, a moment where the true self, long dormant, begins to reawaken. This period mirrors the transitional phase in alchemical transformation, where the base matter dissolves, preparing to be reborn into something noble. In this silence, the art of listening emerges, not just outwardly, but to the gentle whispers of one's own being, muffled for so long by the clamour of expectations and fears. It is both liberating and unsettling, this new space free of familiar constraints, offering both the freedom and the challenge of redefining oneself. It is akin to stepping into an uncharted wilderness, where each step might lead to newfound insights or confrontations with latent fears. Here the first sparks of realness glimmer, tentative steps toward becoming whole and integrated. Patience is the companion on this journey, allowing mind and heart to align, acknowledging the interplay of light and shadow within. This stage is not about avoiding discomfort, but embracing it, transforming pain into stepping stones of self-awareness and acceptance. In this nascent phase, quiet truths surface, desires once untapped, emotions unexpressed, a self unrecognised. These are more than mere echoes of past grievances. They are essential components of identity seeking integration. Listening to these truths requires courage and deep introspection, a willingness to face the uncomfortable places within without judgment. It's about embracing imperfections as intrinsic parts of the human experience. Like seeds sown in the dark, whisperings emerge, guiding a self organically growing, grounded in intrinsic values over external validation. The journey to authenticity involves nurturing what lies beneath, trusting inner wisdom, and finding peace in the unfolding of life that feels genuinely one's own. As authenticity blossoms, self-acceptance rises, not as an end but as an evolving journey. Embracing oneself fully, with all imperfections and contradictions, is vital to living truthfully. Many experience unconditional acceptance for the first time, softening harsh self-judgments into compassion. This is not complacency, but a deep recognition of inherent worth. It is akin to a lost child finding their way home, acknowledging past mistakes and emotional scars as lessons in resilience and self-awareness, rather than defining failures. By reclaiming power from societal norms to personal truths, the individual navigates complexities with grace, building a foundation for genuine confidence and emotional intelligence. Vulnerability emerges as a courageous act of transformation, revealing itself not as weakness, but as a gateway to connection and empathy. In embracing vulnerability, there is the possibility for honest relationships, free from the masks of the past. To risk being truly seen invites others to meet us with authenticity, breaking the barriers that hinder true connection. This openness, though initially fear-inducing, signifies the strength to live genuinely, to engage with life's uncertainties, transforming exchanges into sites of resilience and shared humanity. With the birth of authenticity comes the chance to redefine purpose and passion. Free from the constraints of a false self driven by external validation, the authentic self seeks goals resonant with personal values and intrinsic motivations. This shift invites exploration into what deeply ignites the spirit. It encourages pursuing paths that bring genuine satisfaction, moving beyond superficial achievements to create a fulfilling life. Redefining purpose requires courage to challenge beliefs about success, letting go of aspirations never truly aligned with inner truth. Such integrity invites opportunities aligned with the evolving self, contributing meaningfully to the world and finding joy and meaning on terms uniquely theirs. In the quest for authenticity, there emerges an understanding of wholeness, transcending life's dualities and embracing harmonious integration. It is not perfection, but the acceptance of contradictions as part of the human tapestry, a rich fabric of diverse elements. This fosters inner peace and resilience, grounding the self in its entirety. Wholeness, the culmination of inner journeying, honours the full spectrum of experience, shedding the need to segment into acceptable and unacceptable parts. It is a dynamic process, evolving with each experience, uniting past, present and future into a narrative that guides life with integrity and truth. The birth of something real connects inherently to an internal peace, tranquility stemming from living authentically, where actions, values, and essence converge harmoniously. This peace doesn't rely on external circumstances, but is cultivated through inner harmony. It arises through mindfulness and conscious living, allowing one to navigate life with intention. Meditative practices nurture this peace, anchoring resilience and emotional stability, guiding the authentic self with clarity. Finally, the authentic self finds voice in speaking truth with courage. It is the culmination of the journey where one's true articulation emerges, liberated from the false self's constraints. This expression requires honesty and integrity, aligning speech with inner truth beyond fear or need for approval. Such communication fosters openness, understanding, and genuine connection, affirming one's place in the world. Through truth, authenticity is celebrated, transforming interactions into spaces where the real self is honoured and empowered. In the gentle embrace of night, when the world quiets and the soul turns inward, the journey of living without a mask begins to unfold like a whispered story. This path beckons us to embrace vulnerability not as a flaw, but as an innate part of our humanity. The heart, when unshackled, tends to stories it's long kept hidden, inviting the richness of life into its chambers. Vulnerability, often mistaken for weakness, is truly where our deepest strength resides. By allowing ourselves to be soft and open, we pave the way for genuine connection, unravelled by pretense. What blooms from this openness is a world where authenticity reigns supreme, where we meet others yearning for the same depth of truth. In stepping into this vulnerability, we must grace ourselves with the acceptance of our imperfections. The path of authenticity demands we learn the delicate dance of living alongside our flaws, treating them not as stumbling blocks but as teachers. It's a gentle surrender into the discomfort of imperfection, a surrender that transforms fear into growth. This dance of vulnerability and acceptance, while trembling in its honesty, frees us from the relentless quest for external validation. It asks us to sit quietly with our discomfort, to let it speak, and in doing so it shows us paths to self-compassion and transformation. As each mask slips away, we gift ourselves permission to exist entirely, expressing empathy not just to ourselves, but to the world around us. As we navigate this path, uncertainty becomes an inevitable companion. The masks we once wore to shield us from the unpredictable fragments of life are now the very illusions we discard. In doing so, we immerse ourselves in the fluidity of the unknown. Where stability once held sway, a gentle chaos now invites us to explore the depths of prophetic spontaneity. In embracing uncertainty, we learn to trust our own resilience, finding solace in the potential of each new moment. Here, amid the shifting sands, we craft resilience not from certainty, but from an abiding curiosity. We uncover the beauty that lies in uncertainty's cradle, understanding that it shelters not only anxiety but also infinite possibilities, beckoning us toward new self-discoveries. This tender unravelling of the self extends to our relationships, transforming them in magical, uncharted ways. By shedding the facades, we carve out spaces where honesty can breathe and flourish. Authenticity becomes the bedrock upon which all connections are forged, cleared of the debris of expectations and performative gestures. The authenticity we cultivate whispers to others, alluring them to shed their own layers, creating spaces of mutual vulnerability. These newly transformed relationships become sacred grounds of empathy, where each soul stands unguarded. In this raw honesty, we transcend the shallow waters of interaction, wading instead into the deep seas of shared growth, understanding, and infinite tenderness. Emotional honesty, a keystone of our unmasked existence, asks of us a brave sincerity, an openness without shame or reservation. It is in aligning outer expression with inner experience that we find peace, crafting a world where our movements are fluid and coherent, not fragmented by hidden fears. This gentle art sees us embarking on a voyage toward emotional literacy, a journey requiring patience and mindful vulnerability. Through practice, we learn to listen to our emotions, hearing the tales they tell as they guide us toward newfound truths and affirmations. We respond not with haste but with contemplation, allowing emotions to reveal rather than command, and becoming messengers of insight rather than shadows of reaction. In this journey, creative expression becomes the song we offer to the world, one that emerges from deep within, unfettered by the desire to conform. Like a child painting with newfound colours, we let imagination roam free, crafting a tapestry that speaks intimately of our true essence. Each creation, raw and unfiltered, resonates deeply, echoing the beauty of our honest journey. Freed from the weight of perfectionism, we find joy not just in the final strokes, but in the simple, unfolding act of creation itself. Here, we meet a world open to receiving the authenticity we share, inspiring others to unleash their own creative harmonies. In this space of unabashed truth, love and compassion reveal themselves anew. They come forward not as ideals, but as living, breathing forces, founded upon the sincerity of being seen and seeing others as they truly are. Without masks, love roots itself in genuineness, where its flow remains unburdened by expectation. This opening allows for a compassionate embrace of humanity, a connection that is as profound as it is transformative. In our authenticity, we effortlessly extend empathy, meeting others not with a fixed gaze, but with an open heart. Yet amidst this beautiful unfolding, there is a need for boundaries, not as walls, but as sacred paths. Like a sanctuary, they protect and nurture authenticity, enabling it to thrive. Boundaries expressed with love and respect create a framework for honest interactions. In this, others are invited to journey alongside us, understanding that true connection preserves authenticity against the cacophony of external impositions. It is within this honest engagement that relationships flourish, crafting a harmonious balance of openness and safe containment. Through solitude, we find our truest self, embracing quiet as a faithful companion. In the stillness, clarity finds its voice, distinguishing our truth from the cacophony of borrowed narratives. It is here in these sacred cedar halls of silence that introspection allows for profound alignment with our inner values. Solitude becomes the essence of self-revelation, where our heart whispers its desires without fear of interruption. A sanctuary of authenticity, solitude reconnects us with the intimate truths of who we are meant to be. In facing the challenges of authenticity, we encounter resistance but also growth. Every unveiled truth is met with a world of questions and perhaps misunderstanding. Yet, from these trials, resilience is born, emboldening us with the courage to stand firm in the light of our truth. We extend grace both outwardly and inwardly, knowing that the path of authenticity is a map not drawn in straight lines, but in the unpredictable curves only a heart can chart. We leave behind a legacy of authenticity, a testament to living true. This is not a legacy of things accumulated, but of a life fully embraced, a journey celebrated in its wholeness. Through living without a mask, we inspire others to let go, to live, and to shape their own path. This legacy is a gentle echo, resounding through time, reminding us all that to live truthfully is the greatest gift we can offer ourselves and the world. In the gentle dance of existence, where every flaw and every grace hold hands, we find a truth as ancient as time itself. Perfection is but a shimmering mirage, ever out of reach, beckoning us into fields we may never touch. In this world of polished images and flawless facades, it is easy to lose oneself in the pursuit of an imagined ideal, a pursuit that often leads not to discovery, but to self-imposed shackles. Yet, as Carl Jung whispers through the ages, the true quest is not one of perfection, but of wholeness, a soft embrace of every facet that composes our being, the light and the shadow, the triumph and the frailty. Deep within this shadowed valley rests the treasure of completeness, a realm where imperfections are woven into the tapestry of who we are and become tales of our solitary yet shared journeys. It invites us to step away from rigid lines and embrace a spectrum, a dance where our vulnerabilities and stumbles are as celebrated as our victories. Here the heart finds its harmony, not in eradicating struggles, but in welcoming them as long-lost friends returning home. It is a sacred pause, a reverent acknowledgement of the biases and fears that colour our thoughts, transforming our narrative into a rich mosaic of authenticity and grace. Such is the realm of the shadow, a temple where the hidden parts of our soul are no longer exiled but welcomed back into the fold. These shadows, once feared and misunderstood, are not adversaries. Instead, they are the keepers of secrets, holding within them the essence of life's true creativity and energy. In acknowledging these darker aspects, we find strength, weaving them into the tapestry with our light, fostering unity within. And so in accepting our own darkness, we unlock a compassion that extends beyond the self, reaching into a world that mirrors us in its imperfection and beauty. Light and dark, in their eternal waltz, reveal a fuller spectrum of humanity, binding us in the golden thread of empathy. Amidst the quiet clash of internal seas, inner conflict is a natural symphony, a dialogue not of discord, but discovery. Competing beliefs, desires that pull at us like tides, paint the landscape of our inner world in vibrant hues. To shy away from these tumultuous waves is to deny the growth that they promise. Embracing these internal dialogues nudges us towards the brink of revelation, a quiet acceptance of chaos as a wise teacher. These moments of reflection and reconciliation elevate conflict from being a source of unrest to a beacon of transformation, inviting us toward a mosaic of intricately woven truths. As we step closer to the heart of ourselves, a gentle unveiling occurs. Vulnerability, often misjudged as frailty, in truth, fosters a sacred strength. To stand before oneself and the world uncovered, stripped of pretense and shield, is to invite the purest connection. This authenticity nourishes the spirit's resilience, building bridges made of shared whispers and unuttered truths. Vulnerability transforms us, dismantles the walls brick by brick, until only the genuine self remains standing, radiant in its humility and courage. Throughout our travels, a sense of fragmentation may shroud our essence. Pieces of ourselves, scattered like autumn leaves in the wind, await our gentle reclamation. Integration resembles the art of storytelling, as we gather the disjointed chapters of our lives into a cohesive tale. This is a journey not bound by time or direction, a looping rhythm of revelation and acceptance. With each step we take, clarity unfurls before us, an invitation to forge a path towards authenticity, welcoming the myriad parts of our being into a single chord that plays in harmony with the universe. In the tender folds of this journey, self-compassion becomes a quiet companion, whispering kindness into the crevices of our doubts and dreams. It calls us to embrace our humanity with arms wide open, to cradle our imperfections as dearly as our strengths. In this dance of gentle forgiveness, we find a sanctuary, a nurturing ground where the spirit can thrive beyond the snares of self-judgment and into the vast embrace of wholeness. At the core of our being, we discover the beauty of impermanence, a constant transformation that is as natural as the seasons. This flux invites us to release the grip of permanence and look instead toward the horizon with curiosity and an open heart. By honouring change, we unearth new potentialities, allowing life to flow through us like an ever-changing river. In this acceptance, we become stewards of our own unfolding, honouring the dance of life with a grace that transcends time. Wholeness blossoms in the interconnected weave of all beings, resonating with a symphony that acknowledges the grand web of existence over the solitude of isolation. Through empathy and kindness, our connections with others echo a deeper truth that our lives are inextricably linked. This awareness imbues our journey with meaning, leading us to care for and cherish our shared world as an extension of our spirit. Mindful awareness bathes our path in gentle light, a tender touch guiding us to a presence that transcends the cacophony of distraction. It grounds us in the intimate embrace of the now, illuminating the path to self-discovery and inspiring authenticity in every breath. Through mindfulness, we become pilgrims on a journey of inner peace and resilience, allowing our true selves to shine, unencumbered, through the veil of daily existence. Thus, the path to wholeness is a sacred dialogue, a reverent, murmured conversation with the tapestry of life. With each forward step, we surrender to the deepening mystery of existence, letting our true essence guide us. This journey beckons us to truth, to complexity, weaving us a garment of authenticity and grace. As we close this chapter, may we find solace in the journey itself, and may our unfolding continue to inspire reflection, inviting you, dear traveller, to join us again. If our journey has resonated with your spirit, we invite you to like and subscribe, becoming a part of our shared odyssey toward the light of understanding and connection.